the Game Awards happened in Manila. We had to boots on the ground.
Game with a E4, where the E is replaced with the 3. So, it's some Web3-ish stuff. So yeah, we had some folks in the trenches in Manila, and we're going to bring them in to talk about what's going on with this increasingly large Web3 gaming award show and kind of the vibes in the trenches there.
And we have boots on the ground as we increasingly transform ourselves into a news operations from a performance marketing company.
On that note, the podcast is brought to you by our team here at Upptic. Here at Upptic, it's really only like 0.5% of our time that is producing content like this. Most of the time, we are helping the games that we work on grow their player bases in sustainable and profitable ways. We do all the work and build all the key tech related to scaling games profitably. And so if you are scaling a game and need good folks and good tools to do that, you can reach us through our website. It's upptic.com, upptsc.com. Let's get to the show. All right. Up next, we wanted to bring in our Web3 crew. We've got Jerry and Matt joining, and Jerry and Matt are just getting back from Manila, where they were on the scene for the GAM Awards, GAM3. Hard to say that correctly out loud. And I wanted to bring them in because we've been chatting a lot internally, the vibe from what's going on with Web3 gaming in Manila, in Southeast Asia, and kind of how the space is maturing. And so, guys, you just got back from the Philippines. I saw you like really active at the award show. I think, Jerry, you were actually like doing some like kind of man on the street interviewing there. Tell us a little bit about the GAM Awards. I guess maybe to start, like, what is the evolution of this award show? Like, why is it becoming more relevant? Like, who are the folks behind it? And then we'll get a little bit more into this year's awards.
Yeah, originally Games was Polka Starter, so they kind of rebranded into Games, and then, they had already been running this, this event, this Game Awards for a couple of years now. So this year was the third year, and it was the first time that it went live into a physical location, being Manila, during the YGG Play Summit. And yeah, just Omar, Eliza, and everyone else in the team, they just worked incredibly hard to make it happen. They partnered, with Gabby and YGG, and, they made it happen, actually. Incredible production, incredible venue. Just from being there, you could tell that everyone was just really impressed by what they did.
Quite a large event. Like, is it fair to say like a good amount of the Web3, Web 2.5 gaming developers were there? Like, I've tracked this event for the last couple of years, but it definitely seemed like a different vibe and different level this year. Like you said, it's the first time they did this in person, right? And it also seems like this has gone from being like one of like a few different kind of like awards and accolades to kind of like being the show, the event for recognition in Web3 gaming. Or does that sound all right, or anything you would correct about that?
No, it's 100% accurate. One thing that was really funny that happened was a couple of the developers from some of the winning games weren't there, and like Koji kind of called them out. He's like, "Oh, I didn't get the memo that us founders weren't going to show up." But yeah, there was a lot of game founders there, from games that weren't even involved or nominated in the award show. So I think overall there was a lot of support, and a lot of people flew in all over the world, including the Wolves, to be there and to support.
What is the vibe in Manila for Web3 gaming in Southeast Asia in general, and what is similar or different to how we feel about it at this moment in the US?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think the thing I walked away from the award show like most excited about was actually the award show was great, but like the YGG Play Summit was the most interesting Web3 conference I've ever been to, like by far. Even like for like Web2 stuff, I think for most of us, you go to like the conferences and yeah, some people are just playing games and some people are there to want to play games, but like really who are the people there like lurking the showroom floor? It's like the salespeople for like SDKs and wallets and a bunch of like B2B kind of SaaS companies. And I was expecting that to be kind of the same thing. So I was really not excited for like the Play Summit, but we got there, we walked in like day one. I'm not kidding. There was like rave music playing to like on the stage to the left, and they were like throwing shirts out to the crowd, and people were like super excited to get these shirts. You kind of like walk the showroom floor, and it was packed of people just super excited to play Web3 games. And it was the most kind of mind-blowing thing for me because I had never had that experience at a Web3 event.
Like as in like players, like as in gamers, not like industry people, not crypto people.
No sales people at all. It was all people like showing up to play games. They made the tickets super affordable. It was like $10 to get a ticket for the expo floor. And yeah, everybody's just playing games. And, like, dude, to play Star House, you had to wait like an hour on the first day. So I had just never seen that. And it was really, really eye-opening to like what the Philippines and like Manila specifically, it was refreshing to see people excited to play games, not excited to be like, hey, we'd love if you used our wallet solution, you know?
Right. Yeah. Imagine that. And it kind of makes sense because we think about like the early days of Web3 gaming and, Axie as a founder there and like their growth in that part of the world. And it's just been more normalized there at this point. Like this is just kind of like a subset of gaming that regular people play. So that's really cool. And I think very telling that we're starting to see these Web3 gaming industry events that just have regular people and players starting to show up at them. Let's talk a little bit about the notable games this year. So, like, who were the big winners? What were the games that people were most buzzing about at the event?
Parallel had a very good day. I think they won 3 games overall. Got Off the Grid, won Game of the Year. I think not a surprise to anybody. I think a couple things that were exciting to see were actually just some of the trailers that they were playing between award shows. They to kind of fill time and in between the awards, they were showing trailers, and that's what I think a lot of people were really buzzing about. The Mythical team, who has done NFL Rivals, is announced that they're doing something with FIFA, so they got a FIFA license to do a soccer version or football version. Sorry, people, of a game that's obviously found product market fit. With a sports title on mobile and a team that can do that and actually execute on that. I think people are really excited to see that come through. And then there was a couple of just like super impressive trailers. I think the Bad Mad Robots trailer was like really cool, and like that game looks super exciting. I think Forgotten Playland almost had one of the best trailers I've ever seen for a game. I think they kind of missed a couple things at the very end of that. But yeah, to see some of the teams that we've kind of heard about and we know are building things, but they haven't dove into Web3 with both feet yet because it's just not the right time for them, are starting to. And I think that was really cool. And then, yeah, like a couple of surprise winners. Moonfrost won like best art direction. I think that's a really talented, like totally like scrappy indie team that is just approaching things as like they're even approaching the Web3 side. This is just like this small indie team. So yeah, a couple really cool winners, couple, that expected to win, and then, some surprises in there as well.
Yeah, I think for me, Ronin, of course, Jiho's gave like my favorite speech. Like it was all about like, let's drop the PvP. We got to come together as an industry. The job's not done, work harder. And, even Jerry got to present the award to Pixels actually. So, he went up on stage, he gave that award to them. It's actually one of the top grossing Web3 games. So yeah, they're just killing it when it comes to the Ronin network and ecosystem. Ronin won Ecosystem of the Year, so no surprises there. And then Fableborn, their newest game, won Mobile Game of the Year, which is a game that I personally, really enjoy. It's still being built. But, I think when it comes to the floor at the YGG Play Summit, you couldn't play it. Like the queue was basically way too long. It was like over an hour to play it. So yeah, it was a great turnout.
That's wild. Well, thanks, guys. I mean, I don't want to turn this into a big state of Web3 gaming thing, but it does kind of seem like we're getting close to an inflection point. I mean, we're recording this on Thursday, December 5th, and last night we had Bitcoin go over 100K, which was like benchmark that seemed unattainable. And it does seem like after, years of mockery and dismissal that there is I don't know, it kind of feels like there's some gradual acceptance and normalization of Web3 and gaming that feels like it's going to come to pass, but I'm always overly optimistic on this side. I'm guessing you guys are as well, but it does seem to feel like things are evolving a bit. Yeah.
To be fair, that was my biggest takeaway is that like Asia, because it was my first time in Asia. Asia seems to be much more accepting of Web3 and Web3 gaming. So I think the stigma is more like a Western thing. I'm not sure if you guys agree, but like in Asia, the stigma is not really there. People love Web3 games. And as Jerry said, I think that's exactly what we saw from like the turnout and everyone being there.
Awesome. They have a pretty big history also of just being more rapid to adopt new models of game monetization in general. Like freemium started in Asia. It's not crazy to imagine that this is also going to start in Asia.
That's a good point. Well, awesome. Any final thoughts on what you guys saw in the trenches in Manila or kind of like this moment in Web3 gaming and what's coming up next?
Yeah, I think the main takeaway that I took from Manila was essentially everyone just wants, Web3 gaming to just become gaming. So I think I was speaking to someone yesterday and for example, there was like an airdrop for the Magic Eden wallet. And it's like a new wallet. And everyone was just like, oh, I wish there was just one thing, just one wallet across all chains, like kind of like a Google email, which is funny. We always talk about mass adoption. How do we get this into everyone? A lot of these conferences, they should turn more consumer end as opposed to like more industry end, right? There's a lot of hackathons, a lot of DEF CONs. But to be honest, I did see like a post on Twitter for someone that organizes these events, and they were saying that actually DEF CONs are like a detriment to mass adoption, because all these developers do at these things is build for themselves, build for the tech, and those are the products that like no one needs, and they don't solve problems for the world. So yeah, I think this industry needs to turn into like all about the consumer and less about the technology and like, trying to attract more devs or whatever.
Yeah, I think my takeaway is like double clicking on what Matt said is Web3 is all devs. It's all devs, and it's all like tech people, and it's all salespeople and a lot of people that are still playing the games, right? We had this award show, it was great. There is clearly, some games like Pixels has pretty clear fit with people who want to play it. Yeah, I don't think we're talking to those people enough to understand like why, it was really interesting to be able to talk to people. It's like, why do you like Web3 games? What makes you want to play more of them? Was a first time I actually heard people having these conversations. And I think like somebody who's been on the forward edge of that is Geo's, right? And he understands why, and that's why Ronin is what Ronin is today. I think double down on what Matt said. I'd love to see more stuff that's just like player focused and consumer focused, and not so focused on devs. And though they're already here, right? The devs that understand blockchain and how to write the code and all that stuff. So what we need still to stay, what we're not close to having enough of, is people who just want to be in it for the experience that Web3 can offer.
Yeah. So in summary, we're starting to see the first real signals of games with player bases, games that are actually driving revenue and starting to become sustainable businesses. It's still the exception rather than the norm, but we're starting to see a path there. And we're starting to see some normalization in certain parts of the world, even if it's not there yet where we're at in the US. So thank you so much, guys. Great to kind of hear the vibe from Manila, and it seems like a very interesting time in the space. All right. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Jerry and Matt, for making some time out of your busy days. As always, the pod was brought to you by our team here at Upptic. Here at Upptic, we do all things to help games grow. We develop the creative, we do the user acquisition work, we provide all of the analytics and data modeling through our awesome Upptic platform. So if you are building a cool game and need help with that, reach out to us through our website. It's upptic.com, upptic.com.
Talk soon.